Hello.
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 It's weird being remote and kind of seeing where everybody is, you know?
I know. Just think we used to do this every 2 days.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, oh, bad memories. I hope we
Yeah,
never have to go back to that.
little PTSD over that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's some scars.
I don't even like working from home now.
Right?
Everyone.
I hear
Steph,
some
your connection's not very good. We can't hear you.
Is that Stephanie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Letting people in. Oh no,
Now we can.
I'm connected to the school Wi-Fi.
oh, yeah, we need to upgrade. The
You
Board
can
of
hear,
Ed
Lise?
needs to show me the money.
Nobody's
How
laughing,
about now?
Troy.
Can you hear
No,
me
no
now?
one's laughing but me. How come? My wife sometimes thinks I'm the only one that thinks I'm funny, apparently. She says it all the time. I guess it's true.
I have the same problem at my home too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the only one laughing sometimes, but that's okay.
That's as long as you're laughing,
Can
that's
you
all
hear
right.
now?
Hey, laughter's good for you.
I agree.
Hello?
Yes, Stephanie, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Your screen's a little locked up, but we can hear you.
Can you hear?
It's patchy at best. Let's see.
Oh no. I'm gonna call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Is this okay? Give a yell if it is not.
Good.
I don't know why I'm having this problem. Troy, I'm here in 298.
You're frozen.
Are you in the
Yeah.
small
Well,
room?
where are you in
I
298?
am. I'm in the meeting room 1
Oh,
or
okay.
meeting room 2.
Well,
It's probably
it's fine now. We hear you and see you.
No, I can't really hear you guys though.
Oh, you can't.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, all right. Well, let's just try and get through this. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, geez. Okay.
all right.
I pledge allegiance
To
The flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all, and thanks for bearing with me during this fully remote meeting. We only have 2 items on the agenda today, so we'll start with public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move right into the first of our 2 agenda items, and that is the fiscal year 25 budget adjustments. Troy, do you want to talk us through those?
Yes. Just today, this afternoon, I emailed you a revised budget chart, and I wanted to talk to you about those revisions. It is revised so that the percent on this chart is 2.33. That's 2.33% increase over our current year. So you remember we were at 3.36 when we went to the Board of Finance, and then they asked us to cut 82,000. So when we were looking at where to cut the 82,000, we noticed that there was a pretty major oversight in putting together this budget right from the beginning. And I'll point you out to the lines exactly in a moment, but basically we over budgeted the budget by $156,509.71, which is over 1% of the budget. All right, so, the impact of that is pretty big. I mean, I could have come in to you at 3.5% instead of 4.5% initially when I presented the budget. That's one way of looking at the impact, and then there's other impacts as well. How this happened was when putting salary lines together, we're supposed to be using the contracts and teacher salaries, look what people are currently making, and then project what they would make next year based on the contracts. The teacher's contract next year calls for no step increases. Okay, well, our oversight was we included step increases for people who weren't on the top step. And when you add all of that together, and I have a whole spreadsheet, I've double checked it multiple times. I've done my own. Bill and Irma have also done their own. And then you add in approximately $4,000 for Social Security, which we can reduce as well, because it's less salaries, therefore less Social Security. We come up with that $156,509.71. Now, it's not just in the regular ed teacher line, but some of it's there. And I just pointed out to you, that's line 14 in this budget. Line 14, if you look, regular ed teacher salaries, if you look over at the actual percent increase, it's 5.1. It was in the previous version 7.2. Okay, so there's a savings there of $107,538 in that line. Then you go down to line 20, salaries, special ed teachers. Okay, you can see that percent's now at 4.8%. It was at 8.1%. So we've taken $23,960 out of that line. Again, this is because of the step increases that the teachers don't get in the second year of the contract. And then you look at the next line is school psychologist, that's line 21. And that is now at a 9.7% increase. It was at 11.9. So we saved there $3,627. Line 22, speech therapists. The percent increase is at 3.5%. It was at 5.4%. We saved $2,831. Down to line 24 and 25. Both of those, this is what it is middle school, high school. It's one person, but in the budget, it's half middle school, half high school. So it's at 6%. It was at 9%. And a savings for each of those lines is $2,295. So that's times 2 then. And then if you go down to line 27, we have media specialist elementary. That increases at 6%. That's what it should be. It was at 10.6%. So we're able to shave $3,626 off that line. One more for salary. If you go down to line 43, the social worker line, the increase is at 9.5%. It was at 14.7. That's 2 people, $6,312 is now cut. Now, that's the majority of it. That's $152,000. Those lines I just mentioned. If you turn the page to line 55, it says Social Security. And that is at an increase of 3%. It was at 4.5%. So we've taken $4,034.71 off of that line. Okay, so that's where we get the total of $156,509.71. Now, so basically we found $82,000 that the Board of Finance wanted us to find plus some. And I think, I'm just being transparent about it. It was a significant error when we did this budget process. And I'm thankful, though, it's not the other way. And we have to go back to you and the Board of Finance and say we need 150,000 extra to pay people. But it's still, it's a really big error, which I think, I know for me personally had huge impact. It probably impacted everybody. Because I think it would have been much more palatable if I could have come in at 3.5% instead of 4.5%, because it's a percent difference. And then if we could have gone to the Board of Finance with 2.36 instead of 3.36, I think it could have saved a lot of aggravation for a lot of people. So that's our situation.
Thanks, Troy. Does anybody have questions about what he just explained? Go ahead, Christine.
I just think it's really important that we're not saying that we're saving at this point, that
Yeah,
we're pointing
yeah.
out that this was a definite error, a
Right.
major error.
Yeah,
The
agreed.
contract language was very clear. Bill was at the contract negotiations. He knows there was no step movement this year. It's going to, my concern is it's going to, where else did we make mistakes in this budget is going to be the question, I'm afraid. So when we approach the Board of Finance, I think we need to be very clear that we're not saving those on those items. They were straightforward errors.
Error, yeah.
And
Agreed.
then we can talk about the savings of cutting the 82,000 after pointing out the $100 and some thousand error.
Mm-hmm.
Really disappointing. I'm kind of dumbfounded at this point. I don't know how that happened.
Judy?
I'm glad the error was found. I mean, I agree with Christine, but this kind of makes me think of how many other errors are we not seeing or that are getting overlooked. I mean, I wasn't there for the union thing. I didn't see the contract. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to take Christine's word that it was, clearly in the contract. So it just raises a couple red flags of how closely are we actually looking at the numbers that are being presented.
Any other questions or comments regarding the budget?
I say, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm very disappointed by this. This error is very significant, and it puts the Board of Ed in a very difficult position. I'm also dumbfounded. If Bill was there and the contract language was clear and he knew that there was no step increases, how did it end up in the budget with the increases? How did this happen? I feel like there needs to be some accountability.
It should not have happened. Yes, agreed.
Anyone else with comments or questions?
Yeah, this is Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Echoer, how you doing? Apologize for the echo, but anyway, we recognize Bill had an issue. Hopefully, there's some sort of corrective action afterwards. You have to go back to the Board of Finance with something. So, I assume that we spent the diligence in the rest of the budget. And we made one mistake, so let's own up to it. Say we take out the 156K and go from there. I concur with everybody else's concerns that we should have scrubbed it by the time that we had for the budget and not make the mistake that we did to this level. But at this point, we got to move forward and let's own up to it, save it, and take it from there.
Thanks, Alex. Anyone else?
I would just echo, I'm embarrassed by the fact that this happened. I think that it's unfortunate when we as a board speak often about how carefully we're looking at these numbers, how consistently we're trying to keep track of these numbers. I don't know what would be able to happen in the future that would make this less likely to be a repeat situation, but I think that whatever those things may be, we need to make sure we're implementing. I know I look at those salary lines and I assume that they are correct. I don't go through and count. I don't go through and count the number of teachers, look at where they are on steps. And I mean, that piece to me is outside of us as board members and has to be something that we're confident in coming in front of us. Because I can't imagine, I mean, it's a huge amount of time, right? That's part of somebody's full-time job to make certain that those numbers are correct. So I would just say, yeah, we need to own it. We need to look at it. Thank goodness this is going in this direction. And that what we're doing is getting to a better place that we're going to be able to present to the Board of Finance, but it just as easily could have gone the other way. And we could be sitting here trying to figure out how we save all of our positions because we already cut back to this piece. So.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Chet. Anyone else?
I could
Troy-
just go ahead, Stephanie.
Oh no, go ahead. I'll ask my question.
I just wanted to say that I appreciate everybody's comments, and I do realize in that it doesn't generate much trust or confidence in my central office. So I fully recognize that. I just want to communicate that I understand how serious of an error this is. And that is being taken into account.
Troy, before we go to the Board of Finance tomorrow with this revised budget, how can we feel confident that each of the line items have been scrutinized in a way that makes us feel confident that there isn't going to be another mistake? And like some of the board members were saying, that mistake might not work in a way that we realize savings, but rather we haven't budgeted appropriately for something. Can you talk about what's been done?
I really do believe that the rest of the budget is solid. I do think it was really, I mean, in teachers' contracts, often from year to year, teachers go up a step. And I don't agree, it shouldn't have happened, but the error was simply anybody certified staff in the teacher's contract, people were moved up a step and they shouldn't have been. That was the error. I don't think that error, I understand you're concerned about errors being elsewhere. I really don't think there are. It's pretty, I mean, you can look at it and see like that's the biggest piece of our budget is salaries, right? It's the biggest piece is salaries. So I think the rest of the budget is solid. I mean, I don't know how to convince you of that in 24 hours. But you know, I'm open to ideas. I think pointing out that we found an error and pointing it out to you, I think in some way should maybe, I'm twisting this a little bit, maybe stretching it, but generate some confidence that we're trying to be transparent with a major error. But not that we wouldn't, right? I mean, how do you can't not say, hey, we found an error. But I think, you know, there's also some transparency to saying, hey, we found an error.
Absolutely. And we all appreciate you obviously finding the error and talking to us in such a candid way. We did speak earlier about savings that you thought we would realize through retirements.
Yeah.
And so does this $156,000 error capture that? What's going
No.
on with that?
Okay, so that, we're in, in the hiring process. It looks like we may have, we may have an AD. It seems that there might be, I guess I can say savings there. But we also have a special education teacher, probably two, a sixth grade science teacher that's posted, 0.6 social studies teacher. So we have a lot of other hiring still to do. So it is a bit of a risk to take additional money and cut it from the budget. But we could. I mean, I do think, you could take a gamble and say, hey, we can cut some additional funds from the budget if you wanted, thinking we're gonna hire people that are gonna save us some money. But it's a gamble.
Of course. Go ahead, Christine.
Sorry, just quick, and then we can move on. So have you had those other retirements like formalized? They've been announced, and are they top step retirements? I'm assuming.
Yes, the different columns, but yes.
Okay, because it's not, and Brian and Chet can probably speak to this better than I can, but it's not typical that we're going to bring in a replacement at a top step.
Right.
Depending on what the position is. And I don't think even in the contracts we're able to. So I would like to see if there's a possibility of savings in those positions. I mean, salaries are a lot, especially top step, that we recognize that, where's the highest we think we'd bring somebody in at, or is that maybe a dangerous place to go?
Can I just chime in there, having looked at these in the past? The
Of
one thing that
course.
you do recognize, if you bring someone in at top step, you know what that salary is going to be year over year, and the increase is going to be less of an impact overall to your budget. While the number might be higher, that actual percentage of it going up because moving up step plus the increases on there actually tend to inflate the salaries a bit more, especially early on, because you have that step movement plus the percentage to the salary lines. Whereas if someone comes in at a higher step, at the highest step, year over year, you're locked in there. Granted, it sucks to have everyone in your district at top step because you're paying a ton of money.
Yeah, I was just looking
what
at
that's going to be.
this year's budget, if we were really thinking we were bringing somebody in at top step or not, just in this year's budget.
But it would depend on the position.
The
you
sixth
need to
grade
fill.
science one may be
Isn't that-
tricky for us, just because
Right.
science teachers right now are still considered a shortage area. So the idea that we may be having a science teacher that would need to get replaced. I've seen a variety of places where the big problem with that one is that people will come in with experience in the science field that isn't direct teaching experience, but oftentimes because they have bargaining power, because there's so few teachers applying for those positions, they can actually gain extra years of it on the contract based on that. And special ed is also a shortage area. My big concern would just be that the hires we're talking about are shortage area hires. I think we could definitely, I can't imagine that we would not see some savings there, but the quantity of that is going to be hard to figure out just because of that shortage area for both of those spots.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
Christine,
it might not be as much as we hope.
All right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Christine, are you asking if the board wants to give a directive to Troy to carve some additional money out of the budget? And are you hearing from Chet and Brian that Chet and Brian, you don't think that's a good idea? Is that an accurate way to capture that?
I think so. I think we leave it as is what I'm hearing kind of from you guys that are more expertise on that. And Troy, I mean, also it's his budget. If he thinks we need to leave it as is at this point, I guess I would trust that as well. I was just curious if that was something we needed. Usually that's something we go to cut. So that's why if we're doing it different this year, that's totally fine. I was just curious.
No, and I don't think it would be a problem to consider taking some off of that. I think it really unlikely that we would hire 3 top step teachers as our entire thing. I think that we could definitely find savings amongst those different positions we're hiring. I just don't want us to be like, okay, hiring a PE teacher, you're oftentimes going to get a whole bunch of very young people who are coming and applying in their first or second years because it tends to be the way
We
that
are
PE
hiring
positions
one of
go. But when it comes to things like a science teacher or a special ed teacher, I think we can find savings there, and I think that it's worth taking a look at, if we wanted to come to the Board of Finance with even a little bit lower. Um, but I don't think we would see the savings we would see for, a grade level elementary school teacher or a phys ed teacher or something like that, where you're going to get almost exclusively younger people.
If
Or-
you
or
want, I mean,
humanities.
I do, I mean, I have looked at possibilities here, and while it is risky, I think that there is a high probability of savings with our hiring. So if you want me to throw a number out there, I could.
I guess my only last question would be, and I promise I'll stop. Maybe if it's risky, but a possibility, we hold off in the chance that this budget doesn't get passed by the town. And we need to come back and do some other work. If we
Yep.
think it's solid
Right.
and it's a possibility, we're not over projecting, then maybe we just stay with it where it is, coming back to the Board of Finance. And then, if we have to come back to the table again, we at least know we can take some of those risks at that point. Does that make
Well, and at
sense?
that point, we might already have
Yep.
those hires made, which
Right.
could give us a
That's-
much more realistic look at that, so that instead of us guessing at, oh, we could take 30,000 off now, we might be able to look and say, hey, these are the 3 new hires. They're hired at this step. This is where they'll be next year. We can
Right.
take this much off.
Right.
I don't want to encourage a second round on this. But
No, none of us want a second round.
No.
So just briefly, my comments on this. I don't want us to be taking a guess about anything in regards to the budget, but I do hesitate when I start to think like, well, if it didn't pass, we could go back and we have a place to cut. I think that we do owe the taxpayers sort of our very, I know we say this all the time, our very best budget, and not be prepared to pull back if we have to. I do agree that the further we get in this process, the more likely it is that we'll have hires and we'll have an idea. But Troy, I think what you have in front of you are better than, like my guess. So if you have thoughts or recommendations that you want to make, we could talk about that. Ideally, we would be voting to move this forward tonight because we have to meet with the Board of Finance tomorrow at 7. Worst case scenario, if we direct Troy to do some changes that he's not prepared to do tonight, it is on the agenda for tomorrow, so we could vote on it right before we go into that meeting at 7. But we are cutting it close, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I could do a calculation right now,
Do you just want to talk about some of what you're thinking?
Yeah, sure. So, we already budgeted for the social studies, 0.6 social studies and PE teacher at a pretty lower step already. So I'm not sure we're going to see much there. In fact, may I hire people even higher than we budgeted for those. So, but I do think that the science teacher and special ed teacher, we might be able to see some savings. And I do think it might be relatively lower risk to say like, all right, let's cut 50,000 out. Because I think that, we between the 2 positions, we may save like 25 per position. I think it's a pretty good gamble on that. I think that the high probability that we're going to save about 25,000 on a couple of those positions, so that would be 50 total.
So you're comfortable with an additional 50 that we find in savings rather than the 156 and change in mistake?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do people want to talk about that?
Can you hear me? I prefer we
Oh,
vote on
yep.
it tomorrow and then let them go through the budget, make sure there's no other issues, and come back with a lot more solid rationale and number to vote on first thing for the meeting tomorrow. That's my personal opinion.
Other thoughts?
I do like the idea of him coming back, maybe cutting a little bit so we can go to the Board of Finance and say, yes, we realized this mistake, but we did due diligence to try and cut the budget as well. So it doesn't look like we just chalked the mistake up to a win.
Yeah, it's not just the error that we
Okay.
took off.
Right.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable figure. I mean, I'd hate to be at the end of the year and have a whole, like, $100,000 left in salaries, and like, hey, I can try to explain it then, so, if we have 50,000 left, then that's more easily explained than if we had 100,000 left. And I think the probability of using our salary money is better if we cut a little bit now.
Sorry, can I just ask, what would 25 per salary? What step would that bring them in on compared to top step? Do you know? Just
I'm sorry to say that again. What was the question?
So if we were to knock 25 grand off per position there, and I mean top steps around 90, right? So I mean,
yeah, it's like 89 at a master's. It's 95 something at a 6th year.
So if what step is sitting at like 65?
Let's see. Yeah, I don't have the oh, I do have the context. Okay, here we go.
Because if we're cutting down to like a fourth
65.
step, I don't think we're going to hire at fourth step, but
Yeah, so 64 714 is step 7. Okay, and that's kind of the highest I'm supposed to hire without coming to the board. Right, according to the teacher's contract, it says that. So, master 7 is 64,000.
I mean, I feel pretty comfortable with the idea that we would be hiring at a step 7 or lower, but
yeah. And then you're looking at, you are looking at $25,000, possibly 30, difference if you're going from the 95.
So I'm fine waiting till tomorrow to vote if we would prefer to do that, but I would say that I'm also comfortable with cutting 50 between the two positions if we decided to vote tonight. So
Lisa, did you have something you want to add?
Yes, I'm uncomfortable going with the Board of Finance with only cutting the 156,000 of that error. I just don't think it's good to do that. Look, we found $156,000. It's an error. It was a negligent error from our business manager. So I think we need to cut. We need to cut more than the 156,000. At least 50,000. At least.
Troy, are you feeling like $50,000 is a number that you feel like it's sort of well vetted by you, that you're feeling comfortable? I don't want to put you on the spot right now to have us approve this, but if you're feeling comfortable, would you be able?
I am pretty comfortable with the 50,000. I am.
Would you be able to?
Just so you know, there could be more savings when we end up finishing the hiring process.
Of course, but we also have to present a budget. Right. Can you do the calculation to what that percentage increase would be and what that dollar amount would be?
Yeah, just give me a moment. All right, 3, 5, 2, 8, 3, 4. Okay. So I'll talk you through what I'm doing. So the increase now is $352,834.11. So I'm simply going to subtract $50,000 off of that. Okay, and I'm gonna get 302,834.11. And I'm simply gonna divide that by this year's budget, which is $15,168,084.15. And I'm gonna get, I like to multiply by 100 to move the decimal. And I'm gonna get 1.996. So we're gonna have to really round that to 2.0.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have to round it to 2.0, the 1.996.
That's fine. And then do you have what our total budget will be at 2.0% increase?
Oh, hang on a minute, I didn't write all that down. I'll get that in a moment. 2, 68. Oh, wait, I'm looking at two different numbers.
Are we just taking 50 off the top? So it'd be 15,118,000.
Yeah, you just take a 50 off the top. That's right. That's what you're doing.
Can you say that number again?
Problem.
$15,118,084.15.
Thank you, Chat.
Good
So,
teamwork, chat. All right, so you got $15,470,918.26. Is that right?
Like
Is that what
15
you said?
million,
I'll just confirm it.
407, yeah, 470. Yep.
15,470,900. Yeah, that's it.
918.26.
All right. Yeah, that's the number. And
Okay.
the percent is 2.0.
perfect. I would entertain a motion.
You kind of glitched there.
Oh, sorry. I would entertain a motion now. If anyone wanted to make one, and we could advance this.
I'll make a motion to approve the new budget of $15,470,918.26.
Does anyone want to second that?
Thank you, meeting. Go. I'll second.
Thanks, Brian. Any discussion?
I'd like to defer to Alex's point, in case there's any other savings found between now and tomorrow. Perhaps we wait till tomorrow to vote on it.
Any other thoughts?
I agree with that. I'd rather wait, just double check.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait too.
Okay.
Just in case there's more money, and you already have a number. So if there's anything else, then it just becomes better. That's all. And it's a quick vote.
So Stephanie, I'll withdraw the motion.
It's okay. We can vote on it, or you can withdraw it. Either one's fine.
We'll withdraw it, and I mean, I kind of agree with them. Let's see if we can find more savings.
Great. So Brian, are you withdrawing your second?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So prior to us sending Troy back, with the exception of the directive to please just look through and make sure there's nothing else, is there anything else we want him to consider? Because tomorrow night, we're not really going to have the leeway to ask for extra things or to dig in much on this. So right now we're at a 2% increase with the error and the savings of $50,000. Do we have any additional guidance for Troy? Okay.
Can I just point out that I could have done that math in my head, but I was trying to impress you with my calculator skills.
You did a great job. Thank you. So Troy,
I guess I apologize. My only comment would be that I think that as close as we can get to the 83, if that's at all possible to do, because I do think that coming in under what the ask was to do, but still making it because of an error, that the optics are certainly not great.
Yeah.
That being
think-
said, I don't know where else we would find another 33,000. I feel like we don't want to push too far in those salary line items in terms of the new hires. But if there's something, awesome. If not, I mean, we're gonna do our best. So
I mean, we could do it. We could do it. It's just you're taking more of a risk. I mean, it is there. The potential to save 82,000 with the hiring is there.
oh, Christine, your mic's not working.
I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, lucky for you guys, you can't hear me. I'd agree with Chet, and I would like to also maybe see it come from someplace besides the salary item, if possible. If it's not there, it's not there, but
Does everybody feel comfortable with that guidance?
But again, if it's going to impact programming and it's going to like impact the education in a way that's not tenable, then Troy, I leave that in your hands with that aspect. Like I think that's your opinion. If you're looking at it going, no, this isn't going to work, it's not worth it. We've already already gotten to 2%. We're going to actually,
Right, if you want me to take 82 out of the salaries, I can. And I think there's just a little bit increased risk. But I don't know where else I would take. I don't think I would take anywhere else.
so Troy, up until you found this error, where were you thinking from last week to today where you were gonna find that $82,000
I was
that they were
thinking
asking us?
I was hoping I could get it entirely out of the hiring process.
Okay,
That's what I was hoping, because I didn't want to touch anything else because of the programming and all the stuff that we now have in the budget. I think I really want to keep it in. And I think I would be willing to take the risk cutting 82 from the hiring process. But it's not without some risk.
would you be
But I
able to
think that-
show us where those positions would be coming from and what step you'd be
what I could do is
positioning them
I
at?
could create a little chart if you want of the positions that we're hiring. If someone's occupying the position now, I could have that listed. I won't have the names of the people, but just say, and if we hire at this step, it's this, and I can have it total. So maybe you could feel more comfortable in taking the risk.
Yeah, I'd like it to be a little more calculated risk than just an
Yeah. I
$82,000
mean, I could do
cut.
that for you. It won't take me long. I could probably send it to the board tomorrow morning sometime. And you can take a look at it. And then, tomorrow you could vote on it.
Okay, does that sound comfortable to everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Troy, thank you so much. So you're going to just, I guess, continue to look and help us to understand if we can get to that 82 or 83 and where that's going to come from. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the other topic on our agenda, which is the Cub Club discussion. So we had some questions in regards to the Cub Club, and Troy and I think Jamie in some capacity has helped to answer these. So I'll just ask the questions, and then Troy, if you and Jamie, if you want to jump in and answer them, that would be great. So who does the director report to, and how will the director be evaluated?
Okay,
we have copies of these, we all
You
got
did. I think
We
though,
all
Chet,
got
what's
this in
really-
an email. Yeah.
Right. I do understand that, but the important part is that the public never heard the questions and will never hear the discussion of the answer. So I just want to sort of go through what those things are so that it's all a matter of public record. So can you just talk us through that, Troy?
So if this becomes a school program, they're going to report directly to the superintendent of schools. That would be me, and evaluated in the same way that I evaluate any of my central office personnel, based on the goals, the board goals.
Okay. And will we be tracking their hours?
They'll be tracking hours, just like all hourly employees punch in and punch out. And, our bookkeeper gets that information, and that's how she does the payroll on hourly employees.
What are the program criteria that we're expecting other than babysitting?
So there is going to be the structure. The director will, create the structure exactly, but it would include homework time and help on homework, some snacks, arts and crafts, some physical activities, hopefully outside when the weather is good. And if the gym's available, that can be a challenge. We're going to have to really schedule that really well and clearly. But they'd like to get some gym time in as well. So that's the plan at this point.
Okay, what are the metrics that we're using to know that this is successful?
I think that just kind of looking at the number of kids and are the kids staying that are in? Are they being retained? What do the kids think about the program? What do the parents think about the program? I think we can easily put some satisfaction surveys together and collect that data and take a look at that. I think that would be a good metric.
Who's going to be managing the account and who's going to be cutting the paycheck?
Okay, so the central office would manage this account. However, we're open to the idea that we're having conversations with the town now to see who actually owns the account. We have the form to fill out to create a new account. We think it could function just like our enterprise lunch account, where parents are paying money into that. But I'm thinking it'd be the central office, but it might be in collaboration with the town. We would be cutting the paychecks in the central office. Our bookkeeper would. And if the account's not adequately funded, then you all voted last week to expend some money from non-lapsing.
Great.
That's a
What do we
buffer.
do if there's, right, what if there's a large excess in that account? Does it sit in the account and does it remain unusable, or can we purchase things for the program that might also be used for regular education?
There are other schools that do make profit on this, and they could use it to fund other programs in the school. And I think that is definitely a possibility to do that. The goal is it's self-sustaining, but it could become even greater than that. And it could be revenue generating, and then could be used for programs in the school, either improve student activities. I don't think we would take it and, pay for a teacher salary with it, a classroom teacher. But I think in terms of, maybe more playground equipment, if the school needs that, those type of purchases, I think would be totally appropriate. But that's something that we would kind of have to work out and figure that out.
What's the plan for initial enrollment? How many kids will be able to join the Cub Club?
Jamie, do you want to jump in here with some of these?
Sure, I'm happy to. So our initial figures were based off of 20 students. So that was to hire the director, one staff member to keep the ratio at 1 to 10. There is a registration fee when students first sign up. So that's just a one-time registration fee per year. And then what we would do is essentially once we hit those 20 students, now that's 20 students per session. So it could be that one kid just signs up for one session, or like 1 a.m. session on a Monday, or it could be that they sign up for 5 days. So it's not just 20 kids, it's just 20 spots per session, 2 sessions a day. And then once we hit that number, so say Monday morning fills up at 20 slots, the next group of 10 students, we'd need 10 students in order to hire another staff member to keep the ratio at 1 to 10. And then we would kind of keep doing that. We anticipate capping around 40 at the moment per session per day. So that's kind of the thinking behind it. It's kind of hard to say like exactly how many kids would be impacted because we don't know how many would sign up and how many days. And we're trying to, the idea is really to keep it as flexible as possible. So yes.
Will pop-ins be allowed?
No, we need to keep the ratio at 1 to 10. So having pop-ins doesn't allow for us to plan accordingly. What we are doing, however, is we're allowing families to register every month. So say you need a Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning, but then the next month you only need Tuesday, Thursdays in the afternoon. Every month you'll be able to change your schedule.
Great. And there's no busing for this program, is that correct?
Nope, we are not required to provide busing.
And are we required to provide paras? If a child during the school day gets a para, do we have to provide a para in this program?
We do not. It's an after-school program. So they're not required to have a para. A para can certainly volunteer to be a staff member, not volunteer, but be hired as a staff member. But we are not obligated to provide any sort of one-on-one. And in fact, the director that we're hoping to hire is well adversed at this and makes every attempt to make sure that all children can stay in the program as needed.
Great. Thank you, Jamie. And thank you to the rest of you that I know you received these answers earlier. Thanks for bearing with me. Are there other questions or discussions that we want to have in regards to this program?
Yeah, Alex again. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just sent you a text because I got to sign off. But anyway, if we can get updated kind of business plan or financials, cash flow or whatever, to just make sure that whatever we presented before is consistent with what we think we're going to have moving forward, it'd be nice to see what the exposure is, I guess, if that's possible.
Alex, is that in regards to the before and after care program?
Yes.
Okay.
I know we did it before. It'd be nice to see an update to that if there's any changes. You know, kind of a business plan on how we're going to make money, and now if we're going to tap into staff or whatever else, it'd be nice to kind of understand that and the implications. And I heard the conversation on the getting any extra money and putting it back into other programs. I'm not sure if that's possible if you already have an approved budget, but maybe if they're kind of a separate entity, maybe they can keep the money and grow it in certain ways. But anyway, those are kind of thoughts. But I do support it. It's just got to make sure it makes sense. That's all.
Okay, so tonight, Troy, what are you looking for from the Board of Ed? You need some sort of a vote to advance this further?
I think, I mean, it would be nice if the Board of Ed just, approved that, yeah, they're behind the program. They're authorizing me to be in charge of this program and hire a director and give it a go. It's interesting because it's a school program, and school programs necessarily, we don't come to the Board of Ed for approval necessarily to start like an after school club or something, but this is bigger. It's a bigger deal. So it'd be great if the board could vote and say, yes, let's make this a Board of Ed program run by, or supervised by really the superintendent at this point. But that would be then allows me to hire a director and the other staff and give it a go. But we're not talking about a lot of people here. We're talking about a director and 1 or 2 staff members to start and then kind of see how it goes. But because the timing is pretty tight on this. We actually have talked to an organization, nonprofit, that helps these kind of organizations or activities get going. And we would have to work with them. It would be like a registration software. So yeah, I would like the board ideally to vote on it. And so I feel like I have the authority to grab the bull by the horns and make this work.
I would make a motion to direct,
Troy,
oh,
One quick question. If we add this person, is that another person we add to staff overall, the head count? The
Is,
next year's budget that you're voting on tomorrow?
no, this is no, because this staff member would not be in the Board of Ed budget. The staff member's salary would be dependent on the revenue from parents.
does that
In the
answer your
non-lapsing
question?
account.
And a non-lapsing count as a, like a safety net that you guys voted for.
Chet, I know you're gonna make a motion and I'm gonna recognize you in 1 second. Troy, I know that Alex is asking for some cash flow stuff and I know that it's early for that, but if we approve this tonight, just like any other sort of new program that we're doing, can you at some point bring it back to us with some additional details, how it's going, what it looks like, how much they're charging, what
Absolutely.
like, can we have an update? 'Cause the board is
Yeah.
really, I think, right
And-
now about to really go out on a
Yeah,
limb.
and we'd be able to give you real numbers. In fact, you know, once we get signups, I'd be able to give you numbers probably this spring about what
you.
it's looking like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chet, do you have a motion you want to make?
yeah, I'd like to make a motion to direct our superintendent to begin the process of creating a before and after school program moving forward.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? I will just say, Jamie, I really appreciate the time and the dedication that you've put into this. It's clearly a passion of yours, and I really admire that. Really, you've been working on this since last August. So thank you. And thank you to the board for considering this. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
And any abstentions?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, so we
I
have,
like the messaging.
I just want to make sure I have this right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 affirmatives, 1 no, and 1 abstention. Is that what you have, Troy?
Yes.
Okay, so motion carries. Troy, thanks for being willing to take this on. So that concludes our business for tonight. We meet tomorrow, 5:30. Is there any public comment? Hey, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Good. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night,
Thank you guys all so much, and thanks for being willing to do this 2 days in a row. See you tomorrow.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.